Hello, Smithers. You're quite good at turning me on. Shh. Spoilers.
When I was a child, we used to say, Pannkuchen sind Liebchen. Pancakes are love. Hello everybody and welcome to Cinemattraction. I'm Heat Guy J as always, and with me is the man cold to the bone,
Morpheus.
Is this a tie-in? Is this a segue?
Always, yeah.
Anyway, how have you been?
I've been very well. How have you been?
I've been very good. Have you been watching anything good?
Yeah. No.
70s stuff.
I watched Coffee for the first time, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I like tea myself, but...
Pangria. I watched... Well, I'm sure you could just letterbox this very quickly.
You
but
could.
I watched Fast and the Furious Part 10 last night, which was awful.
Yeah, you gave it a really...
But I loved it.
Okay. You should have given it 5 stars. 5-star enjoyment.
Such a bad film. It's it links back to number 5. You've seen all of them.
Have you seen
I
haven't seen 3 and 4. I haven't seen the Tokyo one, and I haven't seen
Tokyo one's really good.
Fast. I don't think I've seen Fast and Furious. I've seen Fast 5.
Well, it links into Fast 5. You know the
Right.
Brazilian
Yes,
chap that they rob the safe from?
That's it. Yeah, they pull the safe out. Yeah.
Lawn Momoa is his son, and he tries to get...
okay.
And the Lawn Momoa is absolutely fantastic.
He
And
does
the
look
whole
like he's
reason
really
to watch
enjoying himself in that
He's
film.
great.
He looks like
just
he's really having
shockingly
fun.
not in it very much,
Right.
unfortunately.
I watched something very unusual that I didn't expect to find on Disney Plus.
What did you see?
I saw the Psy concert. The hour-and-a-half Psy concert, and it's like a water cart concert. It's got like these hose sprays that spray, and he's doing all his class. He's doing Gangnam Style, and he's doing Mother, Father, Gentleman. I'm a gamma.
Do you Hangover?
Yeah, Hangover with Snoop Dogg. Hangover.
Snoop Dogg in it?
Yeah, Snoop Dogg sang with him in it and rapped.
I would have watched it just for
He
Snoop.
totally did. Yeah. Oh, I love Snoop Dogg.
Okay, why is that doing on Disney Plus?
I have no idea. I have literally no idea. I just saw Psy, and I thought I've been a big fan of Psy's ever since.
Why?
What do you mean?
Why?
Because I'm a big fan of like
K-pop.
Well, not just that. I'm a big fan of like Oriental rap music and like Japanese and
Asian pop.
and Korean rap. I like K-pop. I like some K-pop. Shout out there to Big Bang. And I love Japanese music.
You love Japanese music. Your band is the Gazette, right?
Yes, Japanese rock music.
So I did 90s hurdle this morning, and I got it in 1.
Right.
Because it was Freak on a Leash.
Right.
And I just kept thinking, like, Jason would have got this.
I would.
Jason would have got this on the first beat, let alone the first.
I totally would. I would go.
Speed Racer is a 2008 sci-fi action film from the Wachowskis based on the manga and anime series of the same name, a critical and commercial failure upon its release, taking $93 million reduced from a $120 million budget. It has since retrospectively gained a cult following. A quick synopsis: Speed Racer is a teenage motor racer following in the esteemed footsteps of his beloved older brother Rex, a brilliant race driver who was apparently killed in a cross-country Casa Cristo 5000 rally. Speed Racer is carving a name for himself within the sport, opting to remain loyal to his family's racing team, rejecting advances to join the rival Royalton Industries team, the boss of which, Arnold Royalton, takes exception to this rejection, requesting his drivers intentionally crash into Speed Racer, consequently causing him to total his fancy pants Mark 6 car. A story of corporate espionage and race fixing unravels, drawing the mysterious Racer X into the mix. A new Mark 6 is built, and Speed Racer manages to participate in the Grand Prix, where Royalton uses all manner of dirty tricks to
Spearhook!
to defeat and destroy Speed Racer, ultimately revealing and exposing his dirty practices to the world. Speed Racer wins the race, Racer X is revealed to be Rex all along, and naughty boy Royalton is sent to prison. What are your general thoughts about Speed Racer?
I love it!
When did you first see it?
I love it. I love it so much. When did I first see it?
Yeah.
I saw it when it came out in 2008.
Okay. You see it at the cinema?
Saw it at the cinema.
Good for you.
I think it was just like really quite shortly after it came out. Because I keep thinking that it was a long time after because there was hardly any people in the cinema.
Right.
But obviously that was because it bombed.
Yeah, 'cause it was bad, yeah.
But I think I went to see it like only a few days, if not like the day it came out.
Okay.
I saw the trailer originally and I thought it looked rubbish. It looked really rubbish when I watched the trailer. But when I saw it, I mean, me and my wife were just coming out the cinema singing the Speed Race. Go Speed Race! We were like, I don't know, we were like really high. You know, really excited.
Okay, cool. It's nice to come out of the cinema all juiced up like that.
I haven't been at the cinema like that since I think something like
Force Awakens.
Endgame,
Okay.
Force Awakens, and perhaps the Lego Movie 2. I was so excited after I came out. I was giddy with excitement. Yes, this is one of my all-time favourite films, so I'm going to gush over this. It's so quotable.
It is very quotable.
It's quotable. I mean, what the Speed Racer? Slow down. You can use that in everyday life all the time. Like my wife, she'll go off in the the supermarket, and I'll be like, "Speed Racer, slow down." I could just use it in
Okay.
Obviously, Cool Beans you can use in real life,
I
which
use
is
Cool
great.
Beans, absolutely.
We always use the pancake one, Royalton's pan cooking one. Always use that. I often use "Oops, sorry, trade secret." Because I love to just act it out as well.
Yeah, they're not the most quotable of lines.
They're not really, but like, say if I buy my wife something nice, she'll say, "Oh, that's so lovely. You didn't have to do it." I'll say, regardless of what happens, I want you to have it, a gift, and I'll do it just like Rolton with the hand, like a gift.
It's not my cup of tea,
Right.
But I admire the Wachowski's ambition.
Was there any great lines from the film?
No, not
like
for me.
sounds beefy, pops. No great lines.
Not especially. There's an
No,
infectious energy, and I'll give you that to
Okay.
it, which gets under your skin. And I genuinely cannot think of another movie quite like this.
No, I can't.
And
To be honest, if I've got a recommendation
wacky.
for this, I'm just going to say like the Fast and Furious movies or Need for Speed, or because
I can't recommend another film because there's not another movie like this.
No.
Maybe Mad Max or something like that.
yeah, maybe. I mean, it is a live action anime. That's
Yes.
basically what it is.
Yeah, sure.
It is like watching a cartoon with people in.
Yeah.
What do you think of the cast?
We'll just get back into what you just said there for a second. It's I think it's like a video game. It's like Mario Kart.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually consider it more like Hot Wheels the movie, because I think
Right.
if they were to make a Hot Wheels movie,
Yeah, that's a good point.
How are they going to make it and it not look like this?
I believe the Wachowskis were aiming to deliver a live action anime.
Brilliant. Well, they did that.
But I feel it's more like a video game cut sequence.
Okay.
More than an anime.
Okay.
Though they did an anime better in the other movie that we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
And I wonder if this should have just been an animated film. You don't, maybe don't need the humans in it. And you could have
Possibly.
probably really cut loose with the visuals in an animated setting. You could have gone 3D. I mean, a good chunk of this movie is 3D, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Could have been an animated movie. Might have benefited from that as well. It might have also have caused them, because my main issue with this is that there are really long stretches where I was really bored.
Oh dear! Oh no! Okay, so just go into that. Why?
Oh god, lots of overlapping threads. The balance feels completely off to me.
Okay.
Where the racing scenes are supercharged, like manic, and ferociously edited. There are long, stuffy exposition.
Oh,
scenes
you mean at the beginning?
and drawn out corporate espionage aspects and fairly, okay, for want of a better term, dull family aspects.
Right.
I personally couldn't care less who wins at the end either. It's, in my opinion, a bit overstuffed, and there are far too many uninteresting and perhaps annoying characters involved in the mix. Two-dimensional annoying characters in the mix.
Is Spritle one of them?
Yeah.
Oh, Spritle!
The most annoying child.
with
that chimp.
Yes, and the chimp. And he's got the monkey pajamas, and Chimp has got the human pajamas.
I don't like that, and I don't like the monkey either. And
You don't like Chim?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
They also that was in the news as well, wasn't it? Because the chimp was like abused was
I
like pushed
didn't
around
know
on
about
set.
that.
So for that regard.
I thought this because you
personally-
saw, Nope, and you thought about that chimp, and that chimp wasn't such a nice chimp.
No. It is what it is.
Well, can we talk about the fact that South Korea...
Out of curiosity, why is this film well over 2 hours long? Why does it have to be 2 hours long?
Well, I mean...
why does it have to be over 2 hours long?
Well, because we have to find out about the
why
characters.
does it have to be overstuffed?
We learn about all the characters. We learn about the
Oh,
father.
they're the most boring characters, though.
We learn about... I mean, I must admit, when Speed is sitting there with Royalton and he's like telling Roger Allam about,
Right.
you're kind of, like, sponsors are kind of like the devil and racing is kind of like our religion.
Yeah.
I do think to myself, why are you explaining all this to him when you're going to tell him no?
Indeed. I think Roger Allam, who plays Royalton, is great.
I love him. And I loved him in...
fiendish kind of villain.
V for Vendetta. I thought he was brilliant in that.
Very good as well. Another,
What was it? Ulcered sphincter of our Serica, he says in that.
Stuff like that.
It's like, I've never heard words like this.
I haven't seen that for years.
I've never heard words like that come out of a person's mouth.
Roger Allam is absolutely fantastic.
He is.
And is the absolute best performance in it.
And I love it when he gives the whole speech about the racing and how it's fixed.
He knows what type of movies he's in. And he's got some good lines to
and he goes up to that motor and he says, "This is my religion." and the bit where he says about
so fiendish, I love it.
Yeah, I do. I love all that.
Okay, performances aren't fantastic across the board, I would say. Very bland and forgettable for the most part.
But what about Richard round the tree, Roundtree? Come on,
fine.
Shaft in the house. Ben Burns.
I like seeing him in things, but I don't think this is his best performance. I think he's better in other things. But it's nice to see him in this. It's nice to see all these people in it. I love Good Man in it.
Good Man? Did you like Inspector Detector?
Sure.
No. The Casa. You got to love the Casa Cristo.
Sure.
Where, with the Maltese ice cave.
Sure.
With all that. Don't you love that bit where like they're going down the Maltese ice caves and there's all the light where it's shimmering over the...
There's some
the
really...
visuals are fantastic.
Visuals are... Yeah, I love the saturated, hyper-saturated sort of... Because everything is hyper-saturated.
And what I love is that the characters look out of place in some way in the environment, which gives it more of a jarring look.
It's very green screeny as well.
Yeah, but I kind of like that because I like how the characters look slightly out of place with the world, giving it a sort of surreal look.
Right, yeah. The sense of speed is really, really, really cool and really, really impressive. There are some incredible shots and some really cool edits where,
I mean, one shot I want to talk about is that at the end when he wins the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
That scene where he's sitting exhausted and panting in the cockpit.
Sure.
And he's got like all those flashes over his visor. And it's quite atmospheric.
Sure.
And you've got the muffled sort of crowd.
Yeah.
Almost claustrophobic.
Sure, yeah. Again, some really cool shots.
Yeah.
Really cool sequences.
David Tattersall.
I personally prefer...
Did you not like his cinematography?
Didn't he do Phantom Menace or something as well?
He did the Star Wars films, yeah.
Right, that kind of makes sense
the prequels.
Because of how green screeny this is.
Okay.
And how green screeny the prequels were. I like the sense of speed and I like all of that kind of stuff, but I think I prefer the Mad Max, certainly the Fury Road way of doing it more.
Right.
Because the cars just sort of
zoom around.
Flap around. There's no real weight or physics to them. And I get it, I admire it, but I don't love it.
Right.
I think I want that physicality.
I think you've got to be of like a certain mindset to like this film, perhaps.
Sure.
Maybe it appeals
it's that
to
suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, and maybe if you've got like a little bit of a sort of ADHD mind, you're sort of hyperactive.
But I don't have that.
No.
So I'm coming into this...
Maybe that's why I see it differently.
Right,
I see it as...
Sure, it is certainly over-caffeinated.
It definitely is. Maybe it's because you're so over-caffeinated, you don't need anything else.
Over-caffeinated at all. Very, very aggressive, very artificial, and very, very exaggerated.
Yes, definitely.
It's all a bit much, in my opinion.
I wasn't too sure whether the Wachowskis
were exhausting.
Whether the Wachowskis were trying to make a kids' film.
Oh, it's definitely a kids' film.
So basically, this is like what George Lucas said about Star Wars, where he said, I make a kids' film, and adults just happen to like it. It's kind of weird that I really like it when I'm not the hugest fan of children. Yeah, I like this childish movie.
Okay, so Michael Giacchino, who he seems to have
The
quite a
eight's
lot
brilliant.
in
His
these
score is
episodes.
great. I love his score.
Love it, and he does capture that and sort of bolster that that infectious
That
energy.
score is really, I really like that score.
And I love the cool sound design, the springy, jumpy sounds and things like that.
I know all that. That's great, isn't it? Yeah.
It's really, it's not my cup of tea, but there are aspects that I do genuinely admire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 6 out of 10 for me, this one.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? But it's not by any means a bad movie.
Okay, well, if you could try and forget about what Cold to the Bone John just said, because this movie is big! It's big! We're big!
So what else do you
on
like
my
about,
side.
Yeah, what else do you like about this film then?
Well, I just love that it's like a vacation. You watch it, and it's such a lot of everything. Colour,
Yeah.
energy.
It's a very sensory experience.
It's a sensory experience,
Again, I don't mind it. It's just not my cup
And
of
it
tea.
has got an element. I do respect the fact that the Wachowskis didn't just fill it with visuals.
Yeah.
And they did try and bring a backstory to it with Rex Racer being Racer X.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
I mean,
so
you could see it a
yeah.
mile off, couldn't you?
I know you could see it a mile off, but I mean, at least
But
they
it is
did
a
try
kids'
and
film
bring.
yeah.
They tried to bring a
Indeed.
little bit of something,
But
and
at the same time, it's over 2 hours long, isn't it? And
It
there
is.
are really, really boring sequences in this. You're not going to hold a kid's attention for.
No, I don't think for
I
children.
just feel
really.
it's off. You know.
I think it's for immature people like me.
Sure. Do you know if the Wachowskis a fan of this or something?
Well-
Because presumably they had the clout to have this made after the successes of The Matrix.
Yes,
so presumably
exactly.
this was made on the back of what else you want to do, lads. You've
This
got a key to the. Right.
and I believe they made Cloud Atlas after this.
Yeah, probably.
So, but yeah, I mean, I mean, they've always been interested in anime because,
Yeah, for sure.
you know, what we're going to talk about next is that obviously stems from anime.
Is a live action
Yeah,
anime.
exactly. So, you know, I know that Emil Hirsch is definitely interested in returning if they were to make another film.
Okay, cool.
So, which is great if the main character wants to return.
Is he maybe a little too old? Would he have to be sort of mentoring his son?
Well, possibly. I mean, they'd have to think about a whole new story and everything,
Speed
wouldn't
Racer
they?
Junior.
You know, and as you said, if they're planning on making another 2-hour film, they've really got to up the story or something.
No, just cut it down. Just
The
cut
worst-
it down.
Well, yeah,
You
exactly.
don't need to, and just keep your Mario Kart.
I mean, it's like Beetlejuice. You know, Beetlejuice. It's not got the strongest story, but it's like 90 minutes long, and it's just enough. You don't feel like, oh, there's so much unnecessary crap in here to just fill it out.
I think there is.
What, in Beetlejuice?
No, in this film.
Oh, in this,
comparatively.
I do think there is. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Right, okay.
I'm trying to say perhaps they should have made maybe a 1-hour 40 film.
Yes.
And they didn't have to bolster it. I hate using that word. Bolster the film with, you know, maybe some exposition that you're
You just
not.
don't need it all. You don't need it all.
No. But did I mention that K-pop superstar Rain is Teijo Togokan in this?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, a
Okay.
Japanese
Well,
man.
a Japanese fella who's a pop star, I presume.
Yeah, but no, he's not Japanese. Rain is Korean.
Oh,
South
and he's
Korean.
playing a Japanese
And he's
guy.
playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Teijo
he
Togokan.
overlooked that little instance. And,
I know.
yeah, no, but you get like British actors playing Americans.
You
and
do.
You get Australian actors being British.
He's very good
So,
in that. I quite
why
like because
not?
I've heard some of his music. So.
Okay, I'm sure he enjoyed the paycheck.
I
if nothing
quite,
else.
to be honest, I quite like the whole cast, especially the guy that plays Cruncher Block. He's so animated. I've seen him in something.
Ooh,
that
I don't know.
that English actor.
Okay.
You know where he's like, "Send me home and break my legs." That sounds good. Sounds like a good idea, mate.
It's very quotable, isn't it?
I'm gonna feed you to my fish. I really liked it, and there was the Cagney, James Cagney photo in the back of the lorry booth.
Sure.
Did you notice the Matrix? I think it was the Matrix Reloaded bust in his
I didn't notice that.
trailer when
no, I
they
didn't
had the
notice
battle with Racer X.
that. What do you mean, mate? I didn't see the Matrix bust.
You know, in the Matrix Revolutions, there's Reloaded. Sorry.
Okay.
There's the fight with put my tongue.
Merovingian.
The Merovingians like hallway where there's steps,
Yeah.
like where you come into his
Yeah,
house.
it's the two sort of albino
Yeah. Yeah,
was that
exactly,
correct?
right. He's got a load of really weird, like, sort of sculptures, and one of them
Okay.
is kind of like, it almost looks Norse looking, with a man with a beard and sort of like a Viking hat on or something,
Okay.
like Viking helmet.
I'm trying to place it. Okay.
And I'm almost sure that's in Matrix Reloaded. I'm almost sure it is.
Okay,
I'm almost sure it is.
And it's
but
also in the background of a
it's
scene
it's in his trailer that
Okay.
when he's threatening Teijo Togokan to have his piranhas bite his finger off or his hand off.
So this is like a different type of MCU then, isn't it?
Well,
It's
it
the
is.
Matrix
It's the
cinematic-
Wachowski verse.
Ah, the WCU.
Yeah, fantastic. We're loving it. It's always changing as well, like them, always evolving and changing.
Indeed. Whew.
That's a good thing, people.
Yeah, it's a very good thing, and we absolutely support that.
Well, I just want to mention that there's a lot of great actors in this film, and I don't think we've
There are
really
some fantastic
And I
actors
don't
in
think we've
this.
mentioned how good Susan Sarandon and John Goodman are in it.
Okay, well,
I think they're really good.
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Oh, I just thought they were really good, and also our boy Sanada.
Yeah, it's always nice to see him.
Yeah,
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Speed Racer?
Well, I want to say this is the kind of film that if you want to sit down and just forget everything, get yourself a nice drink, sit down,
Yes.
or if you're in your bedroom, lay on your bed,
Yeah.
watch the movie, chill out, and just have a really good time watching something that is just something that's going to make, just something enjoyable, like listening to a record you really love.
Yeah.
It hasn't got to be the best record. It hasn't got to have the most complicated notes,
No.
chords or lyrics. Even it can have the most simplest lyrics.
Indeed.
Look at some of the Beatles ones. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? It's a great song.
Yeah, I think this is something you should probably watch as a family with younger viewers.
Yes.
I think
Also,
you'll really
yeah,
get it,
I think. Or if you're just young-hearted people. I mean, my mum's in her 70s and she loves this film.
We always bring up your mum in these.
We always do, yeah, because she's one of my greatest fans. I love my mum.
My mum thinks I'm cool. The Matrix is a cyberpunk sci-fi action film written and directed by the Wachowski, starring the likes of Keanu Reeves, Larry Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, Hugo Weaving, and Joey Pants. A critical and commercial success, taking $460 million dues from a $63 million budget.
Ooh.
Woohoo! Taking the best visual effects, best film editing, best sound, and best sound editing Oscars. This film would be added to the United States National Film Registry for its cultural significance, spawning many imitators, a destructive conspiracy theory movement, 3 awful sequels, many video games, and a superb animated anthology. A quick synopsis: computer programmer Thomas Anderson, also known by his hacking alias Neo, receives a series of messages alluding to the Matrix. Anderson encounters Trinity at a club, who informs him that a fellow named Morpheus awaits with all the answers he is seeking. The following morning, a group of uniformed agents and police officers pinch Mr. Anderson and interrogate him about locating Morpheus. Anderson is bugged and wakes up believing the encounter to be merely a bad dream. Trinity returns and introduces Anderson to Morpheus. The bug is removed and Morpheus offers Anderson a choice of 2 pills: a blue pill, in which Anderson will return to life and forget absolutely everything, or a red pill, in which he will learn everything about the Matrix. Anderson duly downs the red pill and wakes up in a dystopian hell, in which he is contained in a pool of pink goo tied to a bunch of tubes and wires. Anderson is essentially flushed and rescued by Morpheus, Trinity, and their team. Neo is born. There is a simulated world in which most of humanity is held, called the Matrix, and the real world, the dystopian hell run by machines and who use humans as living batteries. Turns out that Neo is the Messiah, and he has all the powers to defeat the machines, beat up the vicious AI agents, and bend the many spoons. What do you think of the Matrix?
The Matrix. I love the Matrix.
When did you first see it?
I saw it in 1999, I believe.
Yeah.
I think I just didn't go and see it. I think, yes, that summer I didn't bother to go and see it because I was so excited about the Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace was the same, yeah.
I was just going to see the Phantom Menace. I really didn't give a damn about going to see the Matrix.
Surprise here. I don't think anybody really saw this coming.
Yeah, and also, also this film had a lot of bad press to do with was it the Columbine shooting? I think.
Oh, because of the leather jackets and guns.
And it was
things.
tied.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I mean, to be honest, I'm going to be honest. The first time I heard about this film was in connection to that shooting.
Oh.
So it wasn't good press that I heard about this film.
Fine.
It was like and then when I heard this film called The Matrix, I thought, oh, this must be a horrible movie to watch. This must be awful because like these people have watched it, and the first thing they've wanted to do is go and gun people down.
Yeah.
And of course, when I actually saw it, I thought, okay, this is definitely not a film I thought.
Was this movie sort of connected in that way to the Columbine tragedy?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise.
They kind of copied the stylishness of Neo.
Wasn't there a Leo DiCaprio movie that was also like the Basketball Diaries? I want to just off the top of my head.
What? Where
it was, I think, linked into that. We're talking about a tragedy.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about a movie.
I just feel sorry that the fact that, as I said, the first time I hear about this film is not.
It's
I
linked
see
to
that.
that tragedy.
It's not. Yeah, it's linked to that, and not. Have you heard about The Matrix? Oh, let me tell you about it. Or have you seen the trailer? And you just go, wow, that,
Yeah, trailer was
because
amazing.
this
Really
movie,
caught my attention.
Was mind blowing for its time.
Something completely different.
And I ain't gonna lie, it's still mind blowing.
Okay.
I think the Wachowskis really got this one on lockdown. This one. I'm gonna be honest. The first time I saw it, as I said, was we rented it.
You didn't see it at the cinema?
No, we rented it. And on first watch, I was slightly disappointed.
Okay.
And I think that is because of the same reason to go back to Star Wars, is if you just had Star Wars A New Hope on its own, it would be a good film and you'd enjoy it, but that would be it. The characters wouldn't be filled out. You wouldn't know anything else about Luke Skywalker. You wouldn't know anything else about Darth Vader.
Right.
They would be quite sort of, they wouldn't be filled out characters. And I think that although the sequels aren't obviously as good as this one, they do fill out the characters. And so when you go back to watching this one, you know all that stuff about them. So it fills out these characters who otherwise, if it was just this film on its own, would be quite shallow characters.
Sure.
They wouldn't really have... You wouldn't really know much about Trinity.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know about Zion. You'd never see Zion.
But, yeah, okay. But do you need it? Do you need to see all that?
Well, I think so, because, I mean, you're sort of teased when Tank says, I'm a natural-born child of Zion.
Sure.
You then want to know, well, where's Zion?
what's Zion
What is
all
that?
about then? Right.
Like they do in films. You mention a place, and then you're going to see that place in the next
But
film.
knowing that there's this kind of utopia outside of the Matrix, within the real world, that's not inhabited by it's inhabited by real people.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be just enough? Do you need to see the place? Do you need to see the machinations of the place?
Well, personally, I quite like the fact that although those films aren't as good as this one, I still like them.
I think they're really, really unnecessary, those sequels. I get why they made them, because of course they were going to make them after making $500 million at the box office off such a sleeper
But
hit.
I wouldn't be a huge Star Wars fan right now if it had just been A New Hope, and that is it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
I can guarantee Star Wars figures wouldn't be worth anything.
I would, okay.
Because there wouldn't be all this.
I would agree that the New Hope greatly benefited from having Empire and having Jedi.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely benefited from that. But at the same time, New Hope is perfect.
I know it's perfect. I'm aware of that. But what I'm saying is that you get the other films, and even though it's not as good as the other one, like Return of the Jedi is not as good as A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back.
No, but it's still
really necessary.
Good.
It's good and it's necessary.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like chapters of a book. Sometimes you read a chapter of a book and you just blitz through it because it's one of your favourite chapters.
Sure.
And then you get to another chapter and you think, oh, I don't like this one so much. And I think that tends to happen with films.
Yeah.
You get a chapter that's not, there's different chapters that I like more than others.
For sure.
Yes. As I said, this film is very philosophical.
Good point.
Goes about
simulacra and simulation.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm very into that because obviously I don't think I've mentioned. Have I mentioned probably on the podcast that I'm one of the hugest fans of Philip K. Dick?
Yes.
And his work to do with what is real, what isn't.
Yeah.
He talked a lot about what was simulation, altered states of mind.
Sure.
That kind of thing. And this is right up my street of this sort of thinking. I've long believed that we could live in a
really
simulation.
What they're trying to say, though, I think that what they're trying to say is, with this world of symbols and WrestleManias and distractions and all that kind of nonsense, it's about ignorance. It's about seeing beyond ignorance. It's about seeing, beyond that veil of deception and ignorance. I don't think what they're trying to say is that there's this. We're all sort of keyed into this great big computer somehow. I think they're just trying to say, well, you live in a world.
Yeah, the machines are obviously a metaphor for a greater...
well, no, it's just ignorance. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything more than that.
Okay. I mean,
ignorance and deception. and...
obviously, you called it about this film when the Wachowskis came out and said that this film was about transitioning.
I think there's that.
You did
there
call
is
that
an aspect.
quite,
Sure, go on.
quite a long time before they actually released that. So you really saw into that
in a prior conversation we had.
Yeah.
Before
You really saw
they
deep
then,
into that.
yeah. Well, no, only it was just there, isn't it? It's
I don't know. I
don't know. A key theme, but I think it's a main theme.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, of living life or living the type of life that you want to live. And I think Lily and Lana, the sibling co-directors, have since obviously come out as trans women, and I think this film kind of echoes a sensibility about finding the truth within yourself and living the life that you want. I don't think there's anything.
And sort of looking, peeking behind the curtain,
which they've done.
Looking beyond the veil, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah.
Think,
Just getting away from ignorance and deception. I don't think there's really too much. They've loaded it with loads of Eastern themes and spiritual themes and philosophical themes, but I don't think there's really anything too much more deep than just that.
Well, probably. I mean, they probably took a lot of like Buddhism and Christianity, and that's the same sort of thing. Getting back to Star Wars, that George Lucas put in his sort of philosophies to the Force.
I think it's called the samsara. I think it's like samsara, which is about finding yourself and freeing yourself from your illusory constraints.
Yes, because obviously it is free your mind, isn't it?
Exactly.
That Morpheus says.
But again, it's just living the life that you want.
Yeah.
And moving that veil of ignorance.
Yeah.
I guess. I think that
it could. Yeah, I mean,
I think
you
often
see a lot more. You often see a lot more in films than I do.
I'm not seeing anything that isn't there.
I mean, the first time I saw it, I just thought it was a wicked action movie.
It's cool as hell. Yeah.
It's a cool movie. There's an astounding fight in the toilet with Morpheus and Smith.
Sure, there's many astounding fights.
Same again with Neo in the subway station.
Sure, groundbreaking visual effects as well.
Yeah,
the bullet time.
The bullet. Yeah, that was groundbreaking. Was that John Gator?
John Gator. Yeah.
John Gator. Yeah.
He put together a string of digital cameras together and fired them all off at the same time, and then stitched that into.
Because I'll tell you something. I don't usually like behind the scenes things of films.
Right,
but
you understand how they did that.
I love The Matrix Revisited.
Okay.
Where you just because it's like a 2-hour documentary of the making of The Matrix.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. It's so watchable.
It's been copied and parodied to death, though.
Equilibrium, I would say, is
sure. Yeah, definitely.
That's very close to the same sort of thing of control but obviously not done as well.
There are some amazing martial arts sequences. In this, choreographed by Yuan Wei-ping, who is famous for his work on Iron Monkey and Tai Chi Master and Drunken Master.
Right.
And Crouching Tiger, among other movies. Again, there is a strong anime vibe to this, certainly to the action sequences, but also maybe the way that the dialogue is quite stilted, sort of stilted. That kind of the way that the actors relay their dialogue puts me into that anime vibe as well.
Right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And certainly the visual style as well, I think.
Oh, the visuals are fantastic, aren't they? Indeed. I mean, they still look great. They still look great.
Oh yeah,
so,
still really cool. The Matrix is tinted with like a green hue, isn't there? Like a green wash.
Slight, just to sort of put it off a bit, because like with the fourth film, with the Resurrections, they made the Matrix so it just looked exactly like the real world. But I mean, obviously that was an upgrade of the system and
it's a patch. But the real world is sort of tinted blue as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So you can visually see when
I think this is a film very much of the 90s. Do you know what I mean?
100.
You've got such a 90s feel to the film when you watch it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Which I love. I love that about it, because I love going back there and going, oh yeah, I remember.
Even
the 90s.
Down to the cheesy, angsty 90s needle drops from like Marilyn Manson.
I know.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, I know.
Marilyn Manson.
And you got Neo with his
Rob Zombie as well.
With his clicky phone, the bottom clicks out.
Indeed. Yeah. So I mean, just I love the various sets.
I like
as well.
There's not much about this film I don't really like, because to be honest, I think the cast are great. I think
really
they've got great chemistry together.
Sure. Yeah.
As I said, I think with the sequels, they get more chemistry together as the films go on, because
better,
obviously,
that's for sure.
they get better. And if not, the end of this film would be quite ambiguous, really, if we didn't have the sequels.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Well, he's basically digital Jesus, isn't he?
Yeah, but you'd never see what actually goes on, what happens.
But do you need to? But
well, then you're making your own headcanon, aren't you?
I mean, to be fair, also into those themes of spirituality, he's a virgin birth because he wakes up in the, without a mother. He
flies like Superman,
and he winds up flying like Superman in the end. And he's riddled with doubts as well because they go to the Oracle. And
yes,
he's a virgin birth that is riddled with doubts, and he gets to be digital Jesus in the end.
One thing I did notice though, this film starts where it ends, at the heart of the city hotel. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It does.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
You know what that is? That's Buddhism, isn't it? It's rebirth, isn't it?
Rebirth.
Yeah.
There you are.
There's elements of fetishism that has been put into the film, obviously, with a lot of the characters' clothing.
Okay. Okay, well, let's talk about that then.
Let's talk about that. I think Lily Wachowski is definitely into that sort of...
couldn't make kind of questions.
I think she is.
I don't know anything about that.
Well, I'm not saying anything wrong about it. I'm just saying I think she is into that. So I think she's put a little bit of her sort of... And also, because it is a little bit fetishism, it also gives that sort of...
Fetishistic?
Fetishistic. It also gives that kind of feeling of that slightly off alien feel.
Oh, okay.
You know, when they're in clubs,
right,
and the people are dressed really bizarrely. You know, it gives
dressed
that off.
Leather.
Yeah.
Right.
And then again, it gives that off thing because when they come into the real world, there is no people like that.
No,
there's no
fetishism
type people.
Leather jackets. This film drove sales of billowy leather jacket dusters to idiot teenage boys worldwide. But it's not also about leather jackets and sunglasses. They wear.
It's also about guns.
Sure,
lots of
guns. But there's a multitude of costumes, as you were just then alluding to.
Yeah.
So they wear geese. So
yes.
Morpheus and
and they,
whatever his name is, Neo. I was going to call him Keanu. Wear geese when sparring.
Yeah. When they're in the real world, they wear the sort of ragtag.
Yeah, rags and t-shirts.
Yeah.
Which have. You were saying like there's the leather and all the fancy clothes full of colour, and the leather is all quite shiny.
Yeah.
But when they're in the real world, it's quite colourless and quite drab, isn't it?
Yeah. I think also this
quite
film
oppressive. What I was saying is it's quite it mirrors the oppression that they're suffering within the real world. Perhaps.
Yeah. To make it look that much more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's why they show you the food as well.
Yeah,
to show you how
Joe
uncomfortable.
Pants is later wading into a great big steak.
Exactly, and also I think this has a theme on perhaps sobriety, because if you think about it, Joey Pants in it, he's basically saying, "I know." Well, that's his name. He basically knows that it's a trick. So it's a bit like getting drunk, right? Somebody saying to you, when you get drunk, you know your environment that you're seeing isn't right, don't you? You know this is distorted.
Sure.
But the person's like, I don't care.
Right, sure.
See what I mean? And Joey Pants is like that as Cypher. He's like, I know now what reality is like, but I want the fake reality.
Yeah.
I want to be drugged up or medicated, or because it's better than. And some people are saying, no, I think the suffering of the real world is better than...
Well, I think he just wants a better life for himself. He's seen the other side. He doesn't really enjoy it because it's so oppressive. But when he's trying to make an offer with Agent Smith, isn't he? It's like, can I be something big like an actor or something?
Yeah.
And then he wants that exciting...
Yeah, he wants more than he actually had when he was first there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let me ask you, if this actually was The Matrix and you did have a choice and it was like that out there, really grey and horrible, would you actually think... I'll actually stick with my life I've been in, or would you want to come out and see?
I'd probably want to stay in the Matrix on the basis that my friends and family.
Exactly.
In the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd probably be. I mean, you'd have friends obviously in the real world, but it is very oppressive. You're constantly looking over your shoulder for when the machines try to attack you.
And you imagine this? No animals. No animals. Did you notice that in the real world there's no animals?
I mean, humans.
There's humans, but I mean, no, you know what I'm talking about. There's no animals, no dogs, no nothing like that.
Sure. Isn't one of them called Mouse or something?
Yes, he is. He's the digital pimp.
He is digital.
He's the one that asks if Neo would like to spend some time with his red lady.
Just there were a few films released around the same time as this, which there was a big theme of paranoia at the end of the 90s.
The Y2K.
Y2K.
Well, we remember this, don't we? The lights, the stroke of 12 a.m. on the 1st of January 2000, the lights were going to go out, the aeroplanes were going to fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
People were going to start eating each other.
Yeah. I got a new computer because of that. Yeah.
And it was the world's biggest...
Indeed.
Con, wasn't it?
Nothing happened.
I know.
Nothing happened. But yeah, anyway, there was a big... Yeah, it could be feeding into Y2K paranoia. Maybe.
Yes, because wasn't there that film with...
there was Enemy of the State with Bossman Will. There was Truman Show, which is very... Again, that kind of Big Brother paranoia kind of thing.
I was going to say the one with Angelina Jolie in. What was that called? Where she had that husband, Johnny Miller?
Okay, Hackers?
Hackers. That was around that sort, wasn't it?
Have you ever seen Hackers?
No.
It's so good.
But it is like, is it that type of same feel? I get that impression.
Oh, these are completely different movies.
Okay. I need to see Hackers.
Oh, I'll let you, I've got the DVD of it.
Have you?
I think it's on Netflix or something.
Is it?
So you might be able to get it on there, but I thoroughly
can see it in stunning
so
720.
There were like a few movies like that. There was Johnny Mnemonic, which also
yes,
stars
that's right.
Keanu, which is terrible. There's Hackers and there's The Net with
I want to forget that one.
She orders a Pizza Hut over the internet. It's hilarious. I think it's Pizza Hut or whatever, Domino's or something.
I'd like to see a film with Johnny Depp in, where like more not Johnny Depp, sorry, Johnny. Now I'm thinking of Johnny Mnemonic. I'd like to see one with Keanu Reeves in. Okay. Perhaps an evil supernatural one called Johnny Demonic.
Oh.
What do you think? Am I speaking your language?
He was in The Devil's Advocate.
From the makers of Evil Dead.
Do you see that there's going to be a John Wick 5?
Is there? Maybe they could call that one Johnny Demonic.
How?
How they're going to do it.
How?
You know what happens?
He's dead.
He's in purgatorium. And he has to fight his Dante. He has to do the thingy, the Divine Comedy.
Right.
Dante's Inferno, Dante's Paradiso.
The 8 levels of hell.
Yes! Wouldn't that be epic?
Do you know what? That would be amazing if they did like an 8 levels of hell like mini-series or something like that.
That would be fantastic. I mean, they did something similar to that. It was a video game, wasn't there?
And it was a... Do you know how that... I've played
I
that
never
video.
played it. I couldn't get to the end.
Where I'm alluding?
I do know what you're talking about.
If you've never played Dante's Inferno, it's a fantastic God of War, like the original
video game,
yeah, not like the recent
PS3,
not like the recent God of War, but the original God of War games, and it's fantastic. But it ends with you fighting the devil.
Yes,
and the devil's got something about him. Okay,
so
we'll just leave it there.
I never got to see this.
Okay, we'll Google this after. Yeah. I thought it was hilarious.
I never made it all the way through
coming.
the game. I'm terrible at video games. I hardly ever make it through video games.
Okay, so back to what do you think of? Speaking of Keanu,
yes.
What do you think of Keanu's performance?
I think he's great.
I think
he's got everything.
Fantastic. It's perfect casting.
Yeah,
because it was originally going to be Will Smith, wasn't it?
Was it really?
They were going to.
Oh no, he's too jokey. Yeah, he's got that silly, spoofy, goofy way about him.
Yeah. Sure.
Keanu hasn't got that.
Keanu's perfect for the role. I would have liked to have seen Will Smith though.
I could see Will Smith in it, but I can see it not being like as good as it would be.
Wouldn't have minded young Matt Damon in this as well.
Maybe
because Matt Damon can play these types of roles.
No, I still think it's got.
But at the same time, Keanu has that physicality.
And of course, I love Carrie-Anne Moss in this because she's
What do you
beautiful.
think of Carrie-Anne Moss?
I love her.
A breakout performance.
I love her, and I mean,
steely, tough, stunningly beautiful, but also sort of warm and optimistic as well.
Yeah.
Because she believes, she believes
beautiful. I love her. I mean, I saw her in the fourth one, and I thought, for your age, you look absolutely lovely. I think she's always going to be. I think she's going to be like, she's going to be like a fine wine, always delicious.
There we are. What do you think of Larry Fishbums?
I think he's great.
Okay.
I think you can tell that he's really into it. You know what I mean?
I think he knows what type of movies he's
yes,
in.
that's what I mean. You can tell he's into it. He's like,
very
right, okay,
aware performance.
I know what kind of movie I'm making, so I've just got to go out with it. You know, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, as you were saying earlier, gorgeous, perfect, like chemistry, like back and forth between those three. Certainly, those three characters.
Yeah,
his voice is gorgeous.
I know, and I love the bit where he's on the phone to Neo, and he's going like, yeah, this is Morpheus, and he's like, yes, and he goes go to the scaffolding, and he's like, I can't go that.
Yeah,
you know,
he's very, very serious, but then very silly.
Yeah, and then very soon, at last.
Yeah, I love it. I think
that's why they make fun of that scene with Yahya in Resurrections, where he goes, you know, no one can tell you what the Matrix is, blah blah blah.
Yeah, not the biggest fan of that film.
Oh, I quite liked him as Morpheus, to be honest.
Sure.
I think again he was very aware of what he was doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, don't discredit to who played it.
Yahya, Martin the Third.
Indeed. What do you think of Joey Pants?
I think he's really good. He's always a scumbag, isn't he?
He's very Joey Pantsly in this.
Yes, and he's always that ratty sort of like, you know, like I'm an informer and I'm gonna tell the police on my on my paisans.
I had the chance to meet Joey Pants. Do you ever have? I met him in one of the Milton Keynes.
Oh yes, Collectomania. We used to go to them, didn't we?
We're going to one in a couple of.
We are.
And I've got something to tell you off there. You'd be very happy. But I met him, and he was the most standoffish guy you could ever wish to meet.
Really?
He's in because I've got like a top 5 of people I've met that I've not
that you
liked.
don't like. Yeah,
and I think you know my top 5. I want to slanderize them on this thing.
No.
William Shatner. Christopher Lee, God rest his soul. What do you think of Hugo Weaving?
Hugo Weaving is brilliant, and since I heard Hugo Weaving, tyrannical,
monotone, agent of the order,
and I love the fact that he mentioned that his performance is done like a news broadcaster, given in that
you know, like
especially the bit where he opens the book and he reads it to Neo and he goes, you know, one of these lives has a future, one does not. And it's a bit like how a newsreader, because a newsreader is very impartial. A newsreader doesn't go, oh my God, there's been a car crash on the, you know, blah, blah, blah. No, they're like, there has been a serious car crash on the blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you know.
That's a really good decision, isn't it?
And I think he's so good for that.
So good. Breakout role for him as well.
And the funny thing is, even when he expresses himself, he frowns or whatever, you still get the feeling that he's cold. So although his face is slightly animated, you still get that sort of, and I love the bit. I love the bit where he gives the speech to Morpheus, where he says about humans are the only, you know, virus is the only thing that you could compare humans to.
Yes.
And how we behave, and it's totally on the ball. Yeah. They have nailed that. That's exactly how the human race behave.
I would agree.
You know, we don't build our environment within the environment. We just tear it down and concrete over it.
Build it up.
Yeah.
Tear it down.
And unfortunately, any animals that just get left, you know, they just get stuck to the sidelines, and too bad we're taking over it with more houses.
Yeah.
And we do that. We use all our
tore down
world's...
life and put up a parking lot, Jason.
Did you know there's actually an epoch now of this planet that no matter what happens, any future generations will know we've been here because we've scarred the planet so badly.
I mean,
that's awful, isn't it?
What I left in the loo this morning.
That would have scarred the planet.
That's going to scar the planet for generations. It's my favourite performance in the whole film. There's a tongue-in-cheek silliness mixed with genuine menace.
But don't you think that's also anime?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, anime is a kind of a mix of silly bits and quite serious violence.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Also, with the stilted exchanges as well.
Yeah.
Just this is a live action anime.
Yeah, and there is also one bit I just want to mention is when Neo is being chased by Smith and Smith is turning into all the people.
Yeah.
You know, he throws the knife at him in the kitchen because the old lady turns into Smith.
Yes.
There's a bit where there's a guy calling for a cab, and he's got his hand out and he's waving his hand, and he's going, taxi, taxi, and you see a shot of Neo running up the hill.
Okay.
And just before that, you see actually Hugo Weaving waving his hand as turned into Smith. Oh, and it's so funny. And I don't know whether the Wachowskis left that in because it's like a bit funny.
Yeah, probably.
Because it's so funny to see Smith, like this stone cold killer, going after Neo. And then he's waving his hand really stupidly. I mean, you can't see me waving my hand, but it's
an audio podcast. Again, I love that performance. It's my favourite performance. It introduced me to Hugo Weaving, who I've loved.
He's
ever
been
since.
brilliant in everything, hasn't he? I mean, even his performance in V for Vendetta, you don't even see his face.
You don't, and it's perfect.
And it's brilliant.
And he was a last second.
He was the
guy.
Yes, the first
Because it was
guy.
going to be James Purefoy.
It was, and I'm so glad it wasn't.
Well, I mean,
because I don't actually think
that performance,
and I don't think James Purefoy is a particularly good actor, to be honest.
Well,
I'm not.
That's a bit unfair, I'd say, but I think Hugo Weaving stepped into that role at the last minute and just absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
But it's not a film I particularly like, but I love that performance.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the actual film, but I do. I often like the bits with V in it, but I'm not very fond of the bits with the police.
Yeah.
And all that. But anyway, getting back to The Matrix.
We'll be talking about another movie in I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks actually, which Christoph Waltz does something very similar when he's portraying a Nazi officer. There's a similar thing of tongue-in-cheek silliness with sharp menace.
Yeah.
I think I prefer Christoph Waltz's performance in that regard, but the film is kind of tailored towards his performance anyway. So. What do you think of we've touched on the production design before, but what do you think of the production design? Like the Nebuchadnezzar, the ship in which they're
fantastic. I mean,
incredible.
It's
the
really
detail.
Lived in the detail.
Yeah.
I was watching when I was watching Speed Racer. I noticed a bit behind the when they're watching the TV. There's a bit behind the TV where they've inserted like a picture of John Goodman and Susan Sarandon together in the back, and I'm like, that's great. That's a bit of detail in the house. Nice little touch to make you feel like it's they're not actors. You are actually watching. This is a real thing. You actually believe this sort of thing could happen.
Yeah.
Especially when they go into the philosophy of, is everything just about how your brain interprets things, which means that do you really know that you're actually in reality?
It comes into that theme of ignorance again.
Yeah.
So when Morpheus is kind of laying down what the Matrix is and all that kind of stuff, they go to like a white limbo world.
Yes.
So it's kind of like going beyond that veil again.
Yeah.
Like the veil of ignorance is completely lifted in that white limbo.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you, and the production design, going back to the production design, what do you think of like there's like an H.R. Giger feel to like the human battery towers and
very creepy. Yeah. Really creepy. Okay. I mean, and do you know what I love? It's the fact that we've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
It's like a sci-fi film that because you think of sci-fi and you think of space and you think of all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you don't really think you think of the future, but you don't really think of this specific thing.
Yeah.
Being the things that are actually using us as batteries, which you would expect aliens to come down and use us as cattle or batteries, is actually something we created ourselves.
Okay, well,
and we've had that turn on our, turn on us.
The Matrix is characterized as a giant VR sandbox program, but also as a cascading array of numbers and letters, which is sort of obviously very reminiscent of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Which also shares themes of identity and authority and transgression.
Yeah.
It's really clever. I like the two sides to the Matrix.
And I love the cinematography of this film as well.
Yeah.
That bit where Neo's standing under the bridge, and it's raining. That's gorgeous. That shot.
Some beautiful
absolutely
shots
gorgeous. That's one of my favourite bits of the Matrix. That shot.
Yeah, definitely.
Where he's getting in the car with Trinity.
What do you think of the music?
Brilliant.
Yeah, Don Davis.
That's so good. I mean, at the beginning of the film, when you hear that at the beginning, where you see the Warner Brothers thing, and then you get the and they get the beep 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 beep, and they get it hit. You hear it dialing up and everything. You know what you're watching as soon as it. It's like one of those things. As soon as that music goes, you go, "That's the Matrix music."
Yeah, definitely.
I love it, and it spawned its own font. Doesn't it? Like Star Wars, any great thing spawns its own font, doesn't it?
Yeah, just so many iconic images, so many iconic sounds, some really, really interesting and universal themes, good performances, quotable. This film is big.
This film is big. It's big. We're big. The Matrix is big.
Excellent.
Plus, you've got all that exciting Matrix code.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I like how it's sort of characterized by, you see the Matrix.
Yeah.
You live in the Matrix, but then it's also characterized in that fashion, but also characterized in the fact with all the numbers and letters.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
clever.
It's really, really.
It's
And
literal sort of cascading.
I'm going to be honest.
again
I
of
love
ignorance.
I love a lot of the Wachowski's movies.
Yeah.
I just think they're the movies types of movies they make are so clever and so different.
Ignorance is bliss. I think that's
You
the
know.
pervading
So
theme.
I mean, when would the Wachowskis come out with a new film? Hopefully.
Do you know what they're working? Because they worked on. Have you seen? Is it Sense8?
I have not seen Sense. I did see a couple. I think it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
I believe. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll check that out.
It's I think it's the same sort of thing. It's got a very deep storyline.
Okay.
And it's a connection between people, certain people.
I want to say that Lily had to work on Sense8, and that's why Lana was alone doing.
Right.
Was it
the?
Resurrection or whatever it was?
Oh, was it?
I think Lana
okay.
directed the most recent one on her own. Right?
Okay. Yeah, she did.
And
yeah.
Lily was like contractually obliged to continue working on Sense8.
Oh,
or something
okay.
like that.
That's why they didn't work together because I did.
I think so. I think that's the
Oh,
case. Yeah.
because I
Pretty-
wondered whether it was because like
Why?
Warner Brothers basically said we're going to make another Matrix film with or without your involvement,
And Lily had a bit of an issue.
and Lily
maybe.
just went, well,
Oh, that might be
if
an
you want to
issue.
make it, you make
I don't
it.
know. I don't know. But yeah, this film is fantastic.
Yeah.
Join us again. We'll be discussing two films from 1984: Gremlins
Yes.
and Ghostbusters. These are top five. Top 5 films for me, so I'm very much looking forward to this.
Ghostbusters. Do. Oh, you know what? Ray Parker Jr. He ain't afraid of no ghost.
You can find us on Letterboxd. I am Rat Bastard. You are.
Kerja_Relon.
And how is that spelled?
KERJA_RELON.
And you can find us on social media.
You can find us on Instagram with Cinemattraction_podcast.
Be excellent to each other.
Yes, and thank you for listening.
Okay, lady, bye-bye.
Bye.
Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was
Look again.